why is it that we skip over fats as a metabolism and energy source? We know that fat and carbohydrates can be back and forth in terms of how they're used for energy. Bodybuilders have just locked it into their mind that carbohydrates are the source of all energy and glycogen. It's really not true.
Ketogenic diet, I believe it to be a healthier, a more optimal alternative to what is mainstream in the bodybuilding circle. And we are live. Chris, how are you, brother?
Hey, Robert Sikes.
Yeah, buddy.
Man, the inventor of my new favorite midnight snack. I've been doing I've been doing those keto bricks, and they are highly satiating, very, very, very tasty. And so, man, I don't know how you came up with that recipe originally. I know the backstory, but man, all those like different recipes that you've got going on with the no bake cookie and the tallow butter maple pecan, and then the mocha, and I mean, it's no joke. It's no joke. The facet of you as a scientist and as a baker.
Well, what's crazy is I don't even bake them. They're not baked. But what's crazy is you're like, people are gonna think that I'm paying you to sell this stuff, man. You're talking about the bricks. Here you're repping the Keto Savage or the Natural State Savage's shirt. You got one of the trophies that you won from the competition to your right. You got one of the medallions around. Behind you.
There it is.
You're just repping all the swag, man.
Well, I think I was thinking about being on point with brand is really important, because we all work really, really hard to live amongst our peers, for a while. And then the more you excel and the more you graduate, the more you sort of weed out everything else. Not that everything else is really weeds. That's really not a good word. But you start to refine yourself, and you become ultimately, you are the brand. So in a way, this is all really, it's a reflection of you. And I really think that it's important to always represent yourself in, when you smile and when you pay your bills and when you show up on time and all those things. But then also for people to associate objects with you, because it's, it's not what you say to people that they're going to remember. It's how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And you have an elegant way of making people feel professional and like they're worth something. And the show you nailed it.
I appreciate it, man. And that means the world to me. Like, this was my first time as a promoter, so I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I kind of knew what to expect because I've competed so many times and I've judged a few shows, but I just wanted to like knock it out of the park. And I didn't really know, like, my litmus test for if that was in fact what happened was all the feedback I got post show. Like, what was everybody else's, like, it doesn't really matter what my opinion is of it. I want to know what everybody else thought, how they felt. And it's been just overwhelmingly positive. So for that reason, I feel like it was a success for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely a success. And it was then like an extension of you and, I would say your brand, but also like one of your gifts and your talents is as a, there's people that are good being on a team. And then there's people that are good leading and creating teams. And creating teams is really a special gift. And you definitely have that ability to create a team and an environment. And you could see that represented in Greg, Ellen, the other staff that I can't name, all the competitors.
It was a team effort. I mean, like, what I've tried to do as the business legs have grown is I'm trying to tackle things that I can't feasibly do alone, which is stressful because I can't do it all, and I oftentimes spread myself too thin. But it's really it's forced me to just double down on having a great team And man, having an A team makes all the difference in the world. Because I've had not A teams in the past. Having the team that I do now, I mean, they're all freaking savages, man. They're killers.
Yeah. Yeah. And knowing when a person has outgrown the team or going in a different direction, and to say, hey, thanks, but no thanks. Sometimes that's tough. And that's probably where I struggle, because I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt that they really do have the best intentions and the best, you know, the best goals. It just happens to be maybe they've just got baggage, and they're bringing too much baggage into the environment that is now a distraction to what are we doing here? And I think maybe it's a masculine trait that is a little more natural for guys, is to compartmentalize.
Mm-hmm.
And compartmentalizing is just important to know that we can compartmentalize, and when it's appropriate, and then also when it's not appropriate to compartmentalize, because everything actually exists in context, always
Totally.
always in context. And women have a really beautiful way of multitasking and taking all the information and all the experiences and calling it this. This is what I'm dealing with. Whereas men are like, no. When I say lights off at 10 p.m., I mean lights off. That's all that I mean. Lights off. No games. It's a foul ball if it's 10:01 and the lights are on. Period.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, man. It's interesting because, like, I feel like there are certain things in my life that I can compartmentalize very, very well, and there's certain things that just they're like I've tried to build a life in which everything is symbiotic in nature. Like everything works in unison, like a beautiful symphony of an orchestra. Like everything, while not everything may have my entire focus, the way I've tried to build everything is that if I'm focused on one aspect, the other aspect that isn't getting the focus isn't necessarily falling behind. It's just kind of maybe treading water until it gets the focus. But like basically everything rises because it's all tied together.
Yeah, I did my homework, and I listened to some of your other talks with other people, and you've talked about that really. I think you actually said you don't like the word balance.
Yeah, I hate the word balance.
Right. I agree. Because if everything's in balance, there's a really good chance that nothing's moving forward and there's no momentum somewhere.
Yeah, tensional integrity, man, tensegrity, like that model just makes perfect sense in my mind. And it's kind of how my life is orchestrated and structured. And I feel like people demand or desire more of themselves than just mediocrity. And when you try to keep everything in balance, it's a great recipe for being average. And I don't want average.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing that related to the symphony of things, a little bit of a segue is, so you know where my head is, post show and post going to your world headquarters, post now having quite a little inventory of keto bricks that I need to eat. but but dude, at 1,000 calories a piece, I'm like, okay, Chris, reel it in, man. Because I'm used to eating maybe larger portion sizes, and they are so satiating that it's something that I have to really ration. And but the thing that about keto that I learned, and really it's not keto, it's about fat. I've now taken more of a mind's eye in really asking myself, if we know how much protein is appropriate for our body, and we know that fat and carbohydrates can be back and forth in terms of how they're used for energy, why is it that we skip over fats as a metabolism and energy source, and we think of it similar to protein. Whereas protein, you say, okay, 1 gram per pound on average is what your number is. You can go as low as 0.6, whatever, and then that's your number. And then fats, okay, it's whatever, 0.4 or 0.3 times your weight in your body weight in pounds. So most guys are in the 40 to 60 range of baseline fat. And then everything left over is your carbohydrates. And
Mm-hmm.
carbohydrates are used for glycogen and filling things up and energy and, your liver and everything. Well, to your point, that symphony and where you can't really compartmentalize nutrients and macros is because through scientific words, gluconeogenesis and ketosis, your body has your body doesn't really compartmentalize. It says it's like a beautiful woman. It just like it knows what to do.
Yeah.
and and it knows how to beg and borrow and steal to keep everything in homeostasis. And I will say that was a huge takeaway and is still a takeaway from your show that I am now working through as a natural bodybuilder, because I really desire truth, integrity, but truth and logic and reason. And I don't ever just want to regurgitate information. I want to know why.
Well, for me, like if I'm really looking at this, like if I'm looking, just to give the listeners some context. So you did my show a couple weeks ago. That was your first competition?
Yeah.
Okay, first competition you competed in. You did physique, classic physique. You didn't do bodybuilding, did you? Or did you do bodybuilding? I can't remember.
I did classic physique and bodybuilding. Did not do physique.
Did not do physique. Okay. So this was your first show. And for me, like the competition is a very tangible way for me to be able to give back to the bodybuilding community in multiple ways. So I don't know how much backstory you dug into me on prior podcast episodes and whatnot, but I used to do traditional bro dieting methods of eating. I did the whole bodybuilding thing of eating 6 or 7 meals a day, eating every 2 or 3 hours, having a stopwatch that I would be religious with as to when my next meal would be.
Yeah.
Right, predominantly carbohydrates, high protein, minimal fats. The whole 9 yards, cutting calories, become a zombie as the show gets near, all of that stuff. That all resulted in me developing disordered eating tendencies after my first show. And honestly, if you took a poll of most competitive bodybuilders, especially first-time competitive bodybuilders, most of them struggle with some form of disordered eating in some form or another.
How so your disorder, if you don't mind me asking? In what capacity?
Yeah, so I basically, for my first show, I lost 80 pounds in 12 weeks, which I don't recommend. Yeah, crazy. And then I got really shredded, but then after that show was over, I went out to Red Lobster with the family. I had the big celebratory meal like everybody does. I put on 20 pounds that night.
Yeah.
And then I just felt like I had thrown away everything I'd worked so hard for and sacrificed for the prior 12 weeks leading up to that. And then I kind of, felt guilty, felt shame, and then binged and purged for several years thereafter. And that was kind of my reality as a bodybuilder for, again, 2 or 3 years after that first show.
Binge purge like bulimia?
Yeah. Like
wow.
It was, like I would eat just massive amounts of food, and then I would feel guilty for it, so that I'd purge or I'd starve myself, and that's super common, man. Like it's unspoken, but it is prevalent in the bodybuilding circles, which is unfortunate because bodybuilding is supposed to be, it's crazy common. It's supposed to be like this quintessential view of health, and it certainly can be, but so many competitors have bastardized it in a way that nobody from the outside general population looks at it as optimally healthy. They automatically go to steroids, which we compete in natural federations, so that's certainly not the case for us. But like the relationship with food becomes very crucial. So I started looking into ways of eating that would allow me to break free of that negative tailspin. That's when I found the ketogenic diet. And I made the show in part because I wanted to offer an outlet for people that wanted to compete at a high level, but then it also acted as a gateway, so to speak, for me to introduce the concept of doing so via a ketogenic approach, because I believe it to be a healthier, a more optimal alternative to what is mainstream in the bodybuilding circles. And just using you as a perfect example, like I didn't get up there and speak about ketogenic diets. I didn't get up there and present a conference on keto nutrition. I just let athletes have a stage to compete on. But many of those athletes were ketogenic. Many of them earned their pro card. And if it at least opens the door for competitors to be like, hey, what is keto? Tell me more about this. What's your diet look like? And then you see the competitors backstage, like Greg was backstage eating a freaking keto brick, and everybody else is eating rice cakes covered in peanut butter and honey. You know, like it's a totally
I was
paradigm.
I was the rice cake peanut butter honey guy.
Yeah, most people are. But if the show allows me an opportunity for a conversation to be had, then I can break into that demographic of athletes, which I want to do because I feel like it's just so much healthier for them.
Well, it's Mike Mentzer said something just incredibly intelligent. You know, it's funny. I get emotional when I so just kind of sidebar here. I get emotional when I talk about Mike, only because I've had some incredibly strong mentors in my life, and that's a whole nother discussion. My father, my youth pastor, my first band director, my piano teacher, and I had a professor. The story of my professor is out of this world, and he just recently passed. He's 91, and Mike serves as like a mentor to me. It's like almost angelic. And now I'm going to get emotional, because when we were assembling for the all the WNBF judges start coming in, and I just started to feel this energy, and I was in at Ozark gym posing. You know, I had like this big bowl of food too, and I was like, I gave no qualms about the space that I was taking and what I was doing. I was just in that mode.
Yeah, I remember walking in and seeing you had like 5 Tupperwares opened up in the duffel bag.
I was like, hey man, this isn't Planet Fitness. There are no rules. I'm just taking my clothes off. Here we go, baby. This
Hey,
is
you can do that at Ozark. It's a good gym.
it's great. There's no lunk alarm.
No lunk alarm.
So I take my shirt off. It says heavy duty, and I lay it out, and it's Mike. And I felt Mike's presence just overwhelmingly strong, as if he was sitting right there with me, watching me pose and giving me like counsel on, you know, not even what to do for the poses anymore, but just how to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, one of the things that Mike said very, very early on that he recognized is that bodybuilders are confused. That coming out of the 70s and 80s, it was a magazine culture that was the commerce that drove the industry by Joe Weider and Arnold was largely dependent on the sales of the magazine and ads. And so you had to have stuff to sell. So it was the magazines that were the Bible of all things fitness, weight training, physique, powerlifting, the whole thing. And so you get these workouts and basically everybody's, you know, trying to look like, you know, Larry, help me, the first Olympia.
Shedrus drew a blank too, man.
Oh my gosh, that is like a bodybuilding sin. But you know, just all of the greats from that time.
Look it up right now.
Yeah, that's unforgivable. I would say Larry Scott. Thank you. There we go.
Larry Scott. Yeah,
Larry Scott. Jeez. But you know, Larry Scott and Arnold and Robbie Robinson and, you know, Lou
He still looks great right now, by the way.
Robbie?
Yeah.
Oh my God. he is the Black Panther of awesomeness. He's a walking sculpture. Still,
Mm-hmm.
I love him. I don't love his training partner, Mike O'Hearn. He drives me a little nuts, but because I don't think he is natural like he says, and that is what I'm talking about. Bodybuilders are confused. That drives so much confusion in the bodybuilding circle when he says things or alludes things about being natural. It's confusing.
Well, bodybuilders are at the tip of a spear of a lot of things. Like bodybuilders are experimenters. I mean, there's like the peptide and TRT, hormone replacement therapy market right now is just bonkers, crazy, very popular, in large part because of the path laid by people in the bodybuilding space using performance enhancing drugs to test the waters of these things. Like they are the tip of the spear with a lot of different aspects, but
True.
they're also incredibly stubborn in so many ways as well. And then when you
Mm-hmm.
have those two in tandem, you wind up with a lot of confusion.
Right. Yeah, and you're right. In a way, Dorian Yates was that way. He coached himself. He developed his training. He developed his diet, everything while in Birmingham, England, and he was the shadow. And he just figured it all out himself. And and of course he's a Mike Mentzer guy and heavy duty and high intensity. But when I talk about bodybuilders being confused, I now feel very comfortable from a training standpoint because of Mike and what I've learned, and Marcus Reinhardt, who was coached by Mike and lived with Mike. Another crazy, crazy story, Marcus, which I do have to just clarify. Marcus prepped and coached me to the finish line. So I did have somebody in my corner who was world class and taking me through that process. And he's in Las Vegas. He will be a legend. He already kind of is. He's legendary because of his experience with Mike. But because of Marcus and Mike, I feel very comfortable with what I've learned about high intensity training. What I'm getting to is you, Keto Brick, Keto Savage, everything that you're talking about is helping demystify using the fat metabolism as a legitimate metabolism source, just like bodybuilders have just locked it into their mind that carbohydrates are the source of all energy and glycogen.
Mhm.
And it's really not true. And we can use it's a both and approach. So that's really the credit I want to give back to you is the direction that you're going with Keto Brick and your brand is very similar. See, it's very similar to Mike Mentzer to me on the nutrition side of things in natural bodybuilding.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like everybody should think of themselves as a bodybuilder. Whether or not you choose to step on stage and compete is a whole different story. But every human being should think of themselves as a bodybuilder, because when you look at just understood truths in our current day and age, like we obviously have an obesity epidemic. We obviously have people that are living long but without any quality of health or life whatsoever. And you look at what bodybuilding, the definition of bodybuilding is, it's an emphasis placed on quality nutrition and exercise of some degree. If everybody did that, they would perform better. They would be able to serve better. They would live better. They would have a more meaningful life through and through. Everybody needs to think of themselves as a bodybuilder. Again, whether you decide to take it to the stage is a totally different question. The problem is people don't think of that context as being applicable to them. And when you look at what is involved in a bodybuilder's life, I mean, everybody would benefit from that. knowing what your food intake is, optimizing your nutrition to live a more healthy, vibrant life, resistance training to some degree, using your muscles, keeping them in demand. Like that is how my 89-year-old grandmother is going to improve her health and well-being for the last decade of life on this earth, is to be able to eat better food and keep her muscles in demand so that she doesn't lose them. Like everybody needs to think of themselves as a bodybuilder.
That's exactly why we're here. And we have unnatural bodybuilding over here in still sort of the limelight. We're post Mr. Olympia now, and bodybuilding has this this mystique as like being a sport. And I get it, it is a sport, and I'm not going to take that away from the athletes. But here we are caught between general fitness and quote unquote bodybuilding. And what you and I are talking about, the natural bodybuilding, is really right smack dab in the middle, where it's about health, about fitness, but not necessarily from a physique and stage and vanity point of view. Are really what I'm about, and what I know you're about, is about longevity, true health, true understanding, and how that actually becomes the bedrock of everything else that we do. And the more that I live this lifestyle, and once I finally figured out how to train and proper nutrition, I realized that it was absolutely the number one thing, not only for me, that I had to focus on and get right. But then I started realizing, the more I'm listening, that of all the things that we do, all the things that we do, the one thing that is hanging on us, I mean literally hanging on us, that facilitates everything, is our skeletal muscle structure. You take that away, and here we go.
It's funny because I spent the last weekend at my family farm where there is no internet. And on the drive down there, I totally disconnected and was able to think creatively for several hours. And I just had this epiphany. And it's like all this messaging that I've been putting out over the years, like it all stands to be true. It all is true. I stand behind every bit of it. But I lacked this way to put it all together so that everybody would view it as relevant to them. And I came up with a illustration, which I'm going to be putting out a lot of content around this in the near future. So get ready. But just from a high level view for the podcast here, we are all born with health to some degree, unless you have some kind of birth defect or genetic mutation, you're born in a state of health. Maintaining, preserving, and building upon that foundation is just a baseline responsibility. Like sacrificing your health due to poor decision-making and selfish acts is like the most disrespectful thing you can do to yourself, your family, your friends, your God, everything. Like everything you do in life is going to be done better, more effectively, more efficiently, more optimally if you have health, period. Full stop, no questions asked. Above that baseline fundamental foundation, then you have the ability to improve your skill set, your strengths. You can figure out who you are as a person. You can develop some degree of self-confidence. Once you have that, then you can start to acquire wealth more effectively, because you know who you are, you know what you're confident in, you know what your strengths are. So the ability to produce wealth when you know who you are is going to be significantly amplified. As you have that, your ability to provide to others in the form of a father-son relationship, father-daughter relationship, spouse, family, friends, the community is going to be amplified. Then above that, you can better serve God. Everything is built on having a fundamental baseline responsibility of being healthy. Everything you do in life will improve if that is in place.
So that's 100% right on, because baseline, bottom line, exactly what you said. We are created in the image and likeness of God. We were given a body, mind, and spirit. And without that, everything else is then subject to a limitation. So you're going to be limited at some point by your balance, by your strength, by your cognitive ability, whatever. Man, that's so when you got that download, I'm just curious, because I call them downloads. Uh, Sometimes like it's like God speaking to me like in a burning bush. Sometimes it's like, whoa, like I come back with a message, and it's like I can't take credit for that because it was a total download that came from somebody somewhere. But I'm curious, what state of being were you? Was it early in the morning? Was it at night? Like how was it when that moment of epiphany came to you? I'm just curious.
So I was driving, it was nighttime, and I was listening to the audiobook Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. But I was like, as I was listening to that, I was also like in a state of prayer and meditation of like, okay, I've got all of this figured out. I feel very good about how I'm living my life, what I'm building, what value I'm creating. But I'm missing a piece, I'm missing the key for everybody else to unlock that door and see it. And then that hit me and I had the key. And literally, I had to record a voice memo so I wouldn't forget it as I was driving. I have like a notebook filled full of illustrations and graphics that will perfectly represent this in multiple different facets. I mean, this will change the trajectory of everything that I'm working on, not shift it, but it will make it more understood by the masses so that I can make a more lasting impact to more people. And that is all, I mean, that literally is it's all about to be unfolded.
Dude, that's powerful stuff. That's powerful stuff. And that's what I guess talking about earlier is the more and more that you desire truth and the more we get better and better at things. Like it's like we become reflections of this celestial knowledge and this information, this source that is not of us, but perhaps it actually is. Perhaps it's the Holy Spirit. I'm really careful with Christian buzzwords because I know that when people say Holy Spirit, they're like, oh, bunch of Christians. Okay, don't be offended by the word Holy Spirit. You can call it your consciousness, subconsciousness, the little voice inside, the angel and the devil. I don't care what you're going to call it. I just always grew up calling it the Holy Spirit. But it's the spirit inside of us that truly is holy. That is innocent in nature. That is almost like the nugget of all, that we were born with, the nugget of all truth. But for some reason that gets calcified, and it like gets it's hard to like unwind. And maybe perhaps it just has to be developed over time. But I have experienced similar things where I will, the more I'm in tune and more that I'm in the flow, and frankly, the more that I ask and seek wisdom and understanding, it comes at those times where it's either early in the morning. Sometimes it's that classic like 3:30 in the morning thing where like you get woken up and you're like, is it either a bad dream or a really good dream? But you're like, dude, I looked at the clock and it was 3:33. Weird. so you
Mm-hmm.
so you wake up and you just start feverishly writing. But I think that's why I'm drawn to your personality, and I'm drawn to where you're going, is because in a way, was it Joe Rogan? My brother and I were talking about this. Joe Rogan has now become like he's like the everyman, the everyman's podcast. Like that's kind of a term, like how guys identify with guys. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've heard like the man's man kind of
Man,
thing.
yeah. Man's man, yeah, yeah. So there's something about the wisdom and knowledge that you've created and that you're getting that that is enlightening to me, and I know that I have a lot of people watching you, and you have a lot of people listening to you, a lot of people following you, And with that comes great responsibility because, I don't know that you're not responsible for other people's actions, but people are going to take action based on what you say and the information that you brand. I mean,
Yeah.
check it out. I mean, I got a trophy because of you, right?
Hey, you got the trophy, man. I just handed it to you. You
Whatever.
earned it.
Somebody paid for that thing, not me.
Well, I tell you, man, like I think it is our responsibility as human beings to serve, to leave the world a better place than we found it. And for those that believe in God, they want to serve God, to know him and let him be known. For those that are atheists, even,
Yeah.
unless you're a selfish asshole that's self-absorbed, you desire to do more with your life than just yourself. Like you have a higher purpose than just serving oneself. And I feel like when you look through life through that lens, you have that responsibility. You have that moral obligation to leave the world a better place than you found it, to add more value than you take. And if you distill that down to its essence, how do you do that? By
Mm-hmm.
basically enacting that pyramid structure all the way through. Like everybody wins in that scenario.
I'll even take it one step tighter on the atheist part. Honestly, don't care if you don't believe in God. Doesn't matter. Actually, I prefer that you do serve yourself. Serve yourself to the highest degree possible. And one of the first things that I think you should start with is your skeletal muscle structure.
Yeah, I mean that's like the fundamental baseline with it. It's like the Jordan
Right?
Peterson's, get out and make your bed before you tackle the rest of the day. Like you can't hope to excel at anything you do in life to the degree that you could if your body is degrading. Like it's literally that simple.
I wish all the atheist community were just all jacked because they're like, we don't need God, we don't need Jesus, Holy Spirit, no way. I'm the Holy Spirit. It's me. I'm totally okay with that because the better everybody else is from a health standpoint and really truly taking care of themselves, what they don't know is when you're taking the best care of yourself, you are glorifying God. Shh.
Well, that's very true. And you're not being a burden to society and your fellow human. Like I am
Exactly.
big on being self-sufficient to the best capacity that I can, not being afraid to lean on others and bring people in that can help and elevate. That's very important. But like I don't want to be a leech on humanity. I don't want to just suck people dry. And I feel like so many people that are consciously making very poor decisions for their health, that is what it winds up resulting, especially as they age. I mean, their longevity is cut short, their time with their loved ones is cut short, the ability to care for themselves is diminished, and then you are forced to rely on others that shouldn't have to do those things. So it just, I don't know, man. Like I'm very passionate about improving the health of humanity, and I feel like it's crazy that has to be shouted from the rooftops. Like that's crazy. That's just not an understood thing that people desire inherently. I think they desire it, but they just for whatever reason have taken it for granted.
It's the conscious decisions for sure, and then the ones that are the bad ones are the unconscious decisions where you're just doing things because it's baked into you. And like, for example, we always had Diet Coke, and around the house growing up. And if I'd go to somebody's house and they didn't have Diet Coke, I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, doesn't everybody drink Diet Coke? And and I realized, once I started growing up, I'm like, oh, okay, people, but we never had Doritos and bags of chips, but we always had Diet Coke. And I'd go to other people's houses and be like, oh my gosh, your parents let you eat Doritos? They let you eat?
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. we only get that stuff like for like super special occasions. Like actually, here's a funny story. It was my birthday. And and I had a paper route, so I made my own money. I I went to the grocery store because I was having a birthday party, and I was afraid that my mom was not going to buy the food that I wanted for my like my little boyfriends, you know, like my little 9 or 10-year-old guys. And so I went to the grocery store and I bought a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper. I bought a bag of Doritos and I bought a container of Oreos. And I was like, oh my God, my friends are going to think I'm awesome. And then I hid them under my bed because I didn't want my mom to know that I had bought this food and then my mom was cleaning my room because she knew I was having my birthday party. So she with a slumber party and she found all of this food and I get this, Christopher, why is there groceries?
Mm-hmm.
Why are there groceries underneath your bed? But I was programmed to be like, that's bad food, so I should hide it. And so we make bad decisions now as adults, and then we try to hide them and mask them, but we really sometimes aren't even aware of these poor decisions that we're making, and actually sometimes maybe they're not poor decisions, they're just misguided.
Yeah, totally. And I'm not trying to, shame anybody.
I am.
Isn't, well, I guess maybe I'm a little bit. But I mean, there's certain things like nobody that's going through the drive-through at McDonald's thinks that that's a healthy decision. Like nobody believes that. They do that out of convenience. They do it out of their own self-interest. Nobody thinks that spending 12 hours a day watching Netflix or video games and not getting outside and moving is healthy, but people still do it. Mm-hmm. Now, kids, like this is where like parenting and, treating your kids with respect and teaching them as opposed to just telling them is so important. Because, I could tell my kids, hey, don't eat those cupcakes all day long. And that just kind of build that resentment within them. And then they might do the exact thing I don't want them to do out of spite for me, So I've got to like take the time to inform them, educate them, tell them the why behind everything. And I feel like kids are way smarter than people give them credit for. Like if you
Very true.
Take the time to actually educate them, they soak it up and they respond accordingly.
Kids don't have baggage.
Yeah.
You talk about the holiest of holies. Man, look in the eyes of an infant, and you are looking into the eyes of Jesus. You're looking into the eyes of God in that moment. When I train high intensity, I talk about going to this place where I call it going to the valley of the shadow of death. And I experienced that at one point, because when you go to that, and now I hard left. Now I'm talking about heavy duty.
Hey, I like it, man. Let's talk about training.
So the valley of the shadow of death, where you fear no evil, for thou art with me, is what came to me when I started training heavy duty. Because you go to a place where you experience the essence, this pure essence of fear and flight, and like staring into the eyes of God, because it's that last impossible rep that is required to send the signal to the brain to turn on the growth mechanism to stimulate growth. And then our response from there is to go home, rest, recover, and grow.
I like intensity with training. I don't go to that place every time I train because I'm not doing the high intensity training that you are, because you're only training typically once a week.
Right. Yeah. Usually it takes me 6 days to fully recover. I feel recovered typically after about 4 days.
Yeah.
And then the 5th day is like let's see how we feel. and usually the fifth day is like, I call that the growth day, because I feel like that's my day for overcompensation. It's like the day that you get, the day after you get let out of the hospital, and you're like, all right, cool. Yeah, the doctor was right. I was ready to go home. And then usually on day 6, I'm ready to, I'm definitely, I know that I'm going to be ready. So I know the day before, and my cycle is, maybe 5 days, but typically 6 days, sometimes even 7.
So I love going to that place. I train like 5 days a week, so I don't go there every day that I train. And when I'm training, I'll typically pick one movement to go there on for one set,
Mm-hmm.
more often than not. Because if I was to do that with every movement, every set, every day, like there would be no Robert, he'd be
Right.
long gone. But I've been there numerous occasions, and I like to be able to now harness that intensity and leverage it strategically. Like when I first started lifting, man, I when I was in college, I've got really bad OCD now, and I had debilitating OCD then. I've figured out how to use it and leverage it now. But then, like I remember being at the college gym on my first prep. My first prep was in 2012, and I would be working out, and that's when my OCD would really flare. So I remember being like doing leg extensions, quad extensions, and I would have this, obscene rep count in my mind that I would have to hit, like 40, 50 reps. And then I would hit that 50 rep set, and then my OCD would flare up. And I would literally imagine somebody holding a gun to my parents' head saying, if you don't give me another 20 reps, I'm putting a bullet between their eyes. And that was my motivating factor every single time I trained. And I would literally do these crazy like 80, 90, 100 rep sets for something that only needed to be 15, 20 reps.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would finish, crawl off the machine, go into a corner, puke, and then do the next exercise. Like that was literally my day to day norm. And I like that I know what's possible when I
Yeah,
allow myself to go there. But that was not pleasant, sustainable, practical, or even necessary,
for sure.
especially on a regular basis. So I intentionally don't go there every time I train, but I like going there on occasion and just letting, like, basically going there, letting my body know that, okay, I got you. We got this. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just rock and roll, freaking kill something. And then being able to harness that intensity, so to speak.
Yeah, the the backstory of how I got to high intensity was, I was training. Well, I we have a wonderful career, and we have a wonderful responsibility, in what we do professionally, and it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort, planning, and you know awareness and cognition, and I was on this life loop of getting out of shape, and I needed to nip this in the bud. So I was training, an hour and a half, at least 4 or 5 days a week. And then I hit a plateau, and I just wasn't making any progress. So when I found Heavy Duty and Mike Mentzer, and there's a whole lot of information in between there. When I found Mike Mentzer and Heavy Duty, it was to solve a problem that I had, and the problem was, for me, time management. I did
Mm-hmm.
I did not I could not afford any more time in the gym, and I hit a wall. And when I learned that Heavy Duty and Mike Mentzer was talking about one set, I was like, no way. Like, there's no way. I don't believe it. Like, no way. That was like all I could say. No way. And so I I listened. Then I found on YouTube there was like 4 audio tapes. Thank God for YouTube, because that information was like right there. And I started listening to it, and I was like, oh, interesting. So I start studying it, studying it, studying it. And it was when I realized that I could leverage increasing the intensity and decreasing the volume and decreasing the frequency, that now, wow, I've got something here that is sustainable for me for us to work.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's what really two things. One, I needed to get in the best shape of my life for myself, but I also needed to figure out an answer that would allow me to just push the pedal to the metal, do it right for me, and then not have to, train. That was the bonus, was that I was going to have to train every other day or 4 days a week.
Yeah, and that makes total sense, man. Like people need to figure out what they can do. I mean, consistency over time is the key with everything. And with your schedule, with your life, with your career, it's like, hey, you got to get the training in somehow. So if that's the best way to get that done,
Mm-hmm.
then that's what you should 100% leverage. For me, I like my days to consist of a structure in which I can do something every single day that's moving the needle forward. So every single day I train in some form or fashion. I pretty much run. I started running a few months back, so I run every single day. I work every single day. I kiss my kids goodnight every single day. Like my mind thinks in terms of like what chip can I move every single day for the rest of my life that's going to
Mm-hmm.
put me in the place where I want to wind up, and I just kind of build it and reverse engineer it from there.
Yeah. So I'm really interested at some point to talk about the longevity aspect of all of this, because the more that I do this, the more I realize that that we might train maybe a little differently, but ultimately we're growing and preserving our muscle mass. And what's fascinating about what you're doing in um, do you mind me asking, like, ballpark, how old are you?
I'm 30. I'm 34 this month, actually.
34. Okay. So while most 30 this month in October?
Yeah, 30th.
Get out of here. Happy
Yeah, man.
birthday.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, you're an October birthday. Woo, like
Mm-hmm.
day before Halloween.
Day before Halloween, man. I was born and they made Halloween.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, I too am a Libra. October with you.
Nice.
I
I'm a
celebrate.
Scorpio, I guess technically, but yeah,
Oh, is that what that is? Oh, there's a. Oh, okay,
I think
okay.
it like breaks in the middle or something. Not
Oh,
sure.
I didn't know that. Okay, okay, yeah, um, yeah. That's funny because yeah, that shows my true colors about growing up in a Christian home. We did not talk about astrology. Like, you talk about astrology and things like that. Again, that is gonna put you in timeout. Like, Christopher, we don't talk about astrology. We don't. And so then later, fast forward to life, people are talking about astrology and stuff. I'm like, well, that's really interesting. And talk about characteristics of people born in certain months and like their astrological calendar. And I'm like, oh man, that sounds like the devil to me. It's actually not the devil. It just is the way that people look at life. It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I turned 45 um 3 days ago, 4 days ago. Yeah,
Well, happy birthday to you, man.
yeah, on the 11th. So yeah, we're both October people. Um, but um, so my interest also, like, at kind of the highest level, is about longevity and about in natural bodybuilding. If you think about it, you're preserving your muscle mass. I'm also preserving my muscle mass. And so, from a science standpoint, I want to get down into the nuts and bolts of, okay, so if my lean body mass is like 100 and what, maybe it's like 150 pounds of like bone and lean muscle structure. Like this morning, I clocked it at 159, I think 158, 159. And I don't really know exactly what my body fat is. I can only go by calipers because I'm in that low body fat range where, like, the DEXA and in bodies, they're just like, it's I just can't get an accurate reading. So I can only go by, I pinch my fat and trying to estimate it. But I'm getting leaner, and I'm actually leaning into getting leaner right now too. But with 150 pounds of muscle structure, that's my big question: is if I'm, okay, 45, at 46, can I maintain having 150 pounds of lean muscle structure? And maybe next year I have 152 pounds. Okay. I'm 46. Then let's go back. Let's just jump forward 10 years. Okay. At 56, can I have 160 pounds of lean muscle tissue? Okay. Let's say it's possible. Okay. So if it's possible at 56, okay, let's go 10 years forward. At 76, is it possible for me to have and maintain 162 pounds, maybe even 164 pounds? Okay, stop and think about that for a second. At 72, while everybody else is falling apart, I've got 164 pounds of lean, actual skeletal muscle structure. This is when, like what you've said, you want to be that bodybuilder on stage at 72, having lived the ketogenic life, saying, guys, hey, the trophies are cool, the medals are awesome, all the podcasts, we've had some great times, we've eaten some great bacon along the way, but really what matters in this moment is, look, this works. Now, if you can do it at 76, okay, you tell me, what is so special between the years of 76 and 86 that I can't maintain 164 pounds of lean tissue? Is it impossible? Like, is everybody saying it's impossible?
I think the point at which it starts tipping is when you are no longer able to train with a degree of intensity that keeps that muscle in demand.
Mm-hmm.
And that limiting factor is going to be joints and ligaments and skeletal structure at that age. And the best way I know to preserve that structural integrity is to eat the right food, get ample sleep, eat enough dietary fat, and do the training, but like be smart about it. Like if you're 78 years old and you've never run a day in your life, signing up for a triathlon is probably not going to be the best, most efficient and effective physical outlet for you to preserve and build muscle tissue. But like if you're weight training throughout that entire time, like your ligaments, joints, tendons, like all of that is going to acclimate to the load that you subject it to. And the earlier you can start subjecting it to that load, the more your body's going to familiarize itself with it and adapt accordingly.
Do you follow the buff dudes at all? Those two guys?
Yeah, I've seen some of their stuff.
Did you see that one of the brothers has got spinal compression?
That's not good. I had not seen that, no.
He just dropped a video last night. I don't know, whenever. It was like a 10-minute video. Like, no bueno. He's got spinal compression in his discs. And he is going to have to take about a year, to recover and heal, which he's bummed out about, and I get that. I super, I do think he can heal 100. I think it's possible, but he goes into the reasons why he thinks this may have happened. And he just says, we just did this thing where we lived like 1880s men, and we were out there chopping logs and slinging things and doing those heavy workouts. And then we, their sensationalism of work became a little too much of a brand and a little too much of a source of commerce for them, that they needed content, and compelling content. Not content that is necessarily good for humanity, but good for, keeping your channel monetized. Yeah. And the thing is, Robert, this business of physique and bodybuilding and stuff, it is not where you go to get rich.
No. Natural bodybuilding specifically.
Dude, don't quit your day job. Drive a limo, work at Starbucks, deliver papers. I don't care. Do not try to make a living in natural bodybuilding at all. It's a it's a it's a cost in terms of the sport of bodybuilding for sure. And
Yeah.
even fitness and YouTubing and all that stuff. It also that's not a good recipe. Maybe a little side hustle or whatever, but when that becomes when you're monetizing and it becomes one of your income streams, that's kind of important. Then it's like, well, we're not making enough money on the YouTube channel, so now we need to make an app, and now we need to sell some swag, and now we need to do this, and we need to do this. But what drives all that is our channel, because if we don't have new content, then we don't sell more shirts, we don't sell more coffee cups. We're not selling tubs of protein that say buff dudes on them or whatever. And I'm not trying to throw stones at the buff dudes. I'm just using them as an example, because I feel really sad for this gentleman, because that's what we're talking about here. Is at some point your joints become the weak link, and that's why I guess in high intensity training, I mean, believe it or not. So can I tell you a quick story about my leg training last night?
Go for it.
Okay. So I journal every workout, right? And I get done with the show, and my next training session is legs. And I'm coming out like I maintained my strength pretty well. In some ways, I actually got stronger during the whole prep. But I start out with leg press, like the 45-degree leg press where you're on your back.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, there's a Ozark. Shout out to Ozark. They have a legit vertical leg press. Dude, that thing is off the hook. Awesome.
I like that one.
That's
one of my favorite pieces.
That's it, man. That's it. That's the piece. That and the Nautilus pullover. Two best pieces of equipment known to man. Then deadlifts. Right? God, what would we do without deadlifts?
I did deadlifts today.
Oh, how'd it go? Can you just sidebar tell me how are your deadlifts?
It was good. I did 405 for 5 at the end there.
Oh my God. 405? I can't even visualize 405. That's so much weight. What's that look like on the...
It's 4 plates on each side.
Whoa. For 5 reps?
Yeah. I've done it for 18 reps in a set before.
What?
18 or 19, something like that. But yeah, today was just 5.
18 or 19 reps?
Yeah. That's one of those moments where I was going into that dark place and showing the body what's up.
Dude, I go to the dark place, and my dark place is like 8 on... That's my dark place.
Hey, dark place is relative to everybody,
Yeah, exactly. Wow, dude, that's no joke. Oh my gosh. So I hop on. Okay, so I do. It's pretty low weight. Okay, I'm leg press with it's be 200 pounds. So it's 245s and then a 5 on each side. Is that right? So it'd be 245s and then a 10 on each side. And that is, I did that 2 weeks ago, and I do a warm-up set. Maybe just with a plate on the side, do 10 reps. It's just a warm-up set, just trying to psychologically get myself set. Then I do maybe one more warm-up set just to put the working weight on there and be like, okay, Chris, here we go. It's all in after that. Then I put the working weight on there. It's 200 pounds. So 2 plates and a 10 on each side. 2 weeks ago, on whatever that was, October 2nd or whatever, I did 200 pounds for 22 reps. 22. And I'm not looking for accolades like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Because it's, like you said, it's all relative. But just know that on that 22nd rep, I was like, Tom Platz is standing right next to me, and he's like, 1 more rep, after he had already said 5 more reps to me. Mm-hmm. And Tom it's like a angel. He's like an archangel, standing next to me. We got to 20, and then he helped me find those last 2 impossible reps to 22. And then I go through the rest of my training, which I won't go through on the rest of the leg workout, but I start with that leg press. So last night with legs, I get on and still just 200 pounds, but I got 29 reps to failure.
Quite an increase.
Right? So
Quite an increase.
And I'm talking like, well, I go to Crazy Train. So I know that either my sleep was on point, my nutrition, whatever, but that's the
What are those keto bricks you're eating at midnight?
do you like the shorts? I try to kick some shorts out for you that are like,
yeah, man.
Yeah, except that I'm mixing it with bananas and stuff.
Yeah, you got to fix that. When you're training, so you're doing legs.
Mm-hmm.
Like when are you? So are you doing every body part every time you train, every 5 to 6 days?
No.
So how do you structure that? Because like how many days a week are you walking into the gym to train?
Every 6 days.
Every 6 days you walk in. So like if you do legs, you did legs yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Like when are you doing your chest movements?
Okay, so then it goes the full cycle would be legs, then rest, recover, grow. Hold on. I lied. Okay. Well, I guess you could look at it anyway. Sure, let's just go with that. Legs, wait 6 days, rest, recover, grow. Chest, shoulders, and triceps. 6 days later. Chest, shoulder, and triceps. That's a split. So upper body split, upper body. Rest, recover, grow, chest, shoulders, and triceps. Then 6 days later, whatever, 5, 6 days later, legs again. And then rest, recover, grow, back and biceps.
So it's like 3 to 4 weeks between back and biceps.
Yeah, I only do deadlifts like once a month, like every 24 days.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's crazy. Yeah, I've never trained like that before. I don't know what it would be like. I don't know how my body would respond.
I know. Because
I'm not knocking it though, because I mean, you
No.
look great on stage. I mean, you're doing something right for sure.
Well, you at least said the right thing there.
Which is what?
That I look great on stage.
You did, man. You did. You looked phenomenal. I mean, I couldn't see you from the judge's standpoint because I was running around all over the place all the time. But I would look at you from behind the curtain, and I'm like, man, Chris is dialed in. Color's good, conditioning's good. You were dialed, brother.
Well, that's kind of you. I'm only fishing for compliments. So yeah, I felt like I'm definitely at a peak, of how Chris has ever looked for sure.
Yeah.
Because my skin feels good. My color feels good. I eat a lot of like things that have beta carotene, so I feel like I turn into an Oompa Loompa. My skin turns orangish, brownish. I'm also a little bit Native American, so that might have
probably helps a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. But yeah, thank you.
What tribe of Native Americans?
Lakota Sioux.
Really? So my first passion before bodybuilding and fitness nutrition was studying the Lakota Sioux.
No. What?
Yeah.
In South Dakota?
Yeah. I mean, so this is total sidebar tangent, but my relative was the first white woman to ever go to the Black Hills. Like, this is all documented. Like, my grandmother did like this crazy ancestry thing, and she dove super deep. Like, on one side, it's her, and then on the other side, like, I'm related to King Robert the Bruce from Scotland or something like that. But like, there's all this history, and that wasn't where my passion came from. I was just super interested in the outdoors. Still am interested in the outdoors, but like, I studied Native American history as my first passion. Like, I tanned all my own hides, built my own bows, created my own teepees, wigwams, everything, man.
Was is that your grandmother? Like great grandmother? or
I'd have to go back. She's got
whatever?
all the paperwork somewhere. My grandmother's now since passed, but she's the one that did all that research and she traced it all the way back. So I'd have to go. She's got it all written in a book somewhere. I have to go look.
Are any of your family members in the tribe?
No, I don't have any Indian in me at all. I have no Native American blood in me at all
So
that I
who?
know of.
But where'd the Lakota Sioux? I thought that was in your bloodline. The Lakota Sioux
No,
part.
there's no blood. That was my first passion. Like I just dove super deep in Native American history because that's what I love studying.
Oh my gosh! No way! What a wild coincidence.
Yeah,
So
pretty interesting.
but I thought you said that the so it was who that married who that went to the Black Hills.
One of my relatives was the first white woman in the Black Hills.
So isn't that your relative? Isn't that your blood?
Yeah, yeah, but she wasn't Native American. She
But
wasn't
sh-
Lakota.
but here, this is where I'm going with this. If you marry, did she marry a native?
I have no idea on that.
Ah,
No idea. So I got to do
mm,
that. I got to do that digging.
sometimes if you're on Indian soil, no, you got to have it in your blood. If she married a native, then or somebody in your bloodline married a native that you can trace, telling you, man, you might check the records. You could if you could show it. Well, you've already done the ancestry thing. What I'm getting at is it'd be cool if you were enrolled in the tribe. I am a tribal member.
Nice.
But I am, as they say, white AF.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like my passion for that was just simply because I loved the outdoors. I wanted
Yeah.
to master the art of being self-sufficient in the wild,
Wow.
and Native Americans had it figured out. So I just studied them, and
They
then I also
did.
come up with nutrition and bodybuilding, and that's where
They
most of my research and content has been since.
yeah, they did. They did. Um Yeah, I'm in the tribe. My kids are tribal members, um, and we're all white AF. But my mom grew up on the reservation,
Hmm.
so So when we go back to the res, we are the white people on the reservation, and it's okay to
Yeah.
say that. Like, in terms of like context of using those terms, when you're in context, like when you're on the reservation, it's not inappropriate to recognize who's white and who's not. It's just the way it is up there, and that's okay, because it really pays respect to those who are native, who are truly bloodline tribal members that are there to preserve the heritage of the culture. So, man, yeah, talk about whole different topic. But yeah, but I do have my so there's just a smidgen of me that is Native American that I think helps, with that whole look, kind of to bring the conversation, back in back into skin tone here in
Yep.
bodybuilding.
Yep.
But yeah, I do feel good. And I do like where I'm going with all this, but I know that it's going to take. I know that it's going to take, some, like you said, consistency and lifestyle to, to keep it here. And I guess I'll turn it back to you. What questions do you have? Anything? Is there anything specifically about my training style or approach or nutrition that you wanted to cover?
Well, the training is super interesting, man, because I mean, you're doing so little frequency. And there's multiple ways to skin a cat, as the saying goes. And like I said, you look great on stage. You've built a ton of muscle. So whatever you're doing has definitely worked for you. I think people get so hung up on the best training split, the ideal rep and set scheme that they just become paralyzed and don't do anything or
Right.
don't do anything with any degree of intensity that creates enough stimuli to elicit growth. And I feel like people just need to freaking go hard. Obviously, lift with good form and technique and minimize risk of injury. But yeah, I mean, this is interesting because you and I train very differently, yet you and I both have built physiques via the method that we use for training. So there is not a right or wrong way to train per se. The important thing is that you train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think my question to anybody would be: are you able to logically ask yourself what turns on the growth mechanism? Is it the number of sets? Is it the number of reps? Or is it the intensity? And that's where when you start to peel this back, and if you were to imagine you're doing one set of bicep curls, that's 10 reps, and you're gonna train to failure. Whereas then that 10th last impossible rep is the rep that you're gritting your teeth and your legs are shaking. And maybe that's not even the 10th rep. Maybe it's the 15th rep. I don't care. But it's that last rep. Which rep of the set is the most productive to stimulate growth? The first rep, the second rep, or that last impossible rep?
I always like training to failure. So I would say that last rep. And I would go and say it's not even so much what it's doing from a biological standpoint, which obviously it is having an impact there, but what it's doing psychologically by pushing yourself that far, like the growth from that exponentially exceeds the growth you get from any of those prior reps.
100%. And, okay, so glad you used the word psychologically. There's a new study that just came out about dementia, and I'm thinking amnesia. It's like I'm having amnesia. What's the other word? Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's?
Yeah. But dementia and Alzheimer's is basically the calcification of, the calcification of our neurons. And so the whole idea is how do we decalcify the brain? Because that just happens over time. Is the lack of stimulation of the nervous system, right? Have you ever looked at the nervous system? Like if you Google image of nervous system, have you ever seen what that looks like? Dude, alien stuff.
Alien stuff. Did you know that Alzheimer's and dementia is pretty much being coined as type 3 diabetes because it's more so the glycation, not so the calcification?
Oh.
That's another good reason
Oh.
to diet from a longevity standpoint.
Okay, so I did not know that. So the glycation, type 3 diabetes. So what is that? Okay, I guess maybe I'm curious now. Now you got me interested. Go down that rabbit hole, as we say, for just a minute.
So you look at like type 2 diabetics that are having their toes amputated or they're losing their eyesight. Basically, that's a result of glycation in those capillary vessels from excessive sugar, insulin resistance, because of all that sugar that they've been consuming that's in circulation. That same thing is happening neurologically in the brain. That's why they're calling it type 3 diabetes.
Okay. And can you help me understand what is glycation versus calcification?
Glycation, like calcification is typically thought of in terms of like, calcium, like bone structure, like
Right.
it's overgrowth of that, calcium from like the bone tissue. Glycation is more like sugar, glucose. So that glycation, like glucose is sticky and it's sticking together in overabundance.
Plaque. Yeah?
Kinda.
Okay, because they talk about the sticky. I've heard that the stickiness of that happens in the brain.
So like when you're looking at people that are very prevalent with Alzheimer's dementia, they oftentimes have a pretty high degree of insulin resistance as well. Not always, but oftentimes that's the case. And if they improve their nutrition, leaned more into fat metabolism, weren't so dependent upon glucose, weren't so addicted to glucose. Like you look at patients that have Alzheimer's dementia that are put on a therapeutic ketogenic diet, and their signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's dementia is drastically diminished.
One of the podcasts that you did the other day, was the gentleman who he was in the military and he was having the chronic episodes of what do you call it? Um, uh, Epilepsy,
Mm-hmm.
the epileptic situations, and him getting onto the ketogenic diet that turned that off.
Well, that's what the ketogenic diet was originally used for. It was used in the 1920s for children that were having epileptic seizures, and then they kind of phased it out as a preventative measure for that once they started making drugs that targeted that pathway. But some people were resistant to those drugs, so they continued to, leverage a ketogenic diet. But yeah, I mean, like that's where it was originally used in a medical setting.
Okay. And I guess this is why this is so important because because do you see, can I just bring this all back to the very first thing we talked about? How you cannot compartmentalize anything. Look how everything that we're talking about touches everything.
Mm-hmm.
We went from talking about how beautiful women are to Lakota Sioux to keto bricks to help me understand glycation and calcification to Mike Mentzer to the Holy Spirit. Like all this stuff is so connected. And while I do like to compartmentalize and go down these rabbit holes, man, it's really difficult because you realize that revelation that you received is it's so foundational. If you don't get that right, everything else spins out of control eventually. Everything spins out of control. So if you don't think about and I'm really glad we talked about the joints thing and that buff dudes guy, because your joints and your muscle structure and all that stuff now have this cascading effect on all this. And the myth about carbohydrates being the only fuel source, and it's crazy. This is in the American diet, like and that's what unfortunately Mike Mentzer did say, that he basically surrendered to the balanced American diet, saying, listen, it's all agreed upon by the top nutritions, 60% carbohydrates, 30% protein, and 20% fats.
Yeah, but man, I could take it down a freaking rabbit hole right now. We're already going long, so I won't. But I mean, like, look into the money trail. All right.
Right.
Where does the money come from? Who is at stake to win or lose? Do you know the story of like Kellogg's cereal? Have you ever heard that story?
No.
Okay. Do some homework, man. Look up, type in Kellogg's cereal and Seventh-day Adventist masturbation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
I can. Oh, what? Jeez.
It's just like total crazy random stuff that people don't think of when they're going to the grocery store buying Fruit Loops. But like, follow the money, man. It makes everything much more clear.
Oh my gosh. Well, so I gotta at least cinch up this one thing about this glycification. What was it? Glycation and of the brain, because that's what happens in that last impossible rep. Is psychologically it stimulates the entire nervous system. It's no longer about the biceps anymore, because that last impossible rep, I know I'm getting so excited because I'm so passionate about it. That last impossible rep, your entire body is shaking. Have you ever done it? Like we're going to train together sometime, but that last impossible rep on a bicep curl, when you're holding that straight bar to failure, dude, it's impossible to even hold it.
Yeah. And you get goosebumps. Mm-hmm. Like when you're going like all out, like when I put the bar down, like I get goosebumps all over. Like start seeing, spots.
Stars.
Like
Yeah. And like my whole body, like I feel it in my calves. My calves, like my biceps are saying, guys, I'm giving out. I need the quads. I need the butt. I need the calves. I need the fingers. I need the brain. I need the shoulders. I need everything. Everybody, get your ass on board. Apparently, Chavanau's doing one more rep. It's crazy town here. And then you can't even do that. So you sling it up there with momentum. You just get it up there. Somehow get it up. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute. There's still a little gas in the tank on the eccentric. Well, son of a gun. Guess what we're doing again, boys and girls? we're gonna messy sling or trainer help me get that up, and we're gonna go into negative town training.
Yeah, and see, I love doing negatives. I love doing drop sets, supersets, forced reps, all that good stuff. There's probably a point at which some of that could have a point of diminishing returns with regards to joint structure, health, and integrity.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's gonna look a little bit different for everybody. That's why
100%.
Because I know some of the crazy stuff I've done in intensity techniques that would probably not be smart for me to do when I'm 77 years old,
Right. Oh, and especially if you've never gone to that place, because going to that place is no joke. Like, I never get used to, I was texting Lace last night, my wife, before the training, and I was like, babe, I am like freaked out. She's like, why? Like, this never gets easy. I have anxiety. I'm nervous. I know what I'm about to do. And I'm freaked out because when you take it to high intensity land, once a week, like I do, you do go to that place. But that's the takeaway on the central nervous system in the brain that I wanted to touch on.
What's cool though? All right, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go.
So one thing that I've been really practicing here lately with my training is I'll know what my sets and reps and weight are when I'm going to that place. And then my goal becomes, okay, let me hit that same weight, set, rep count or more, but then do so in a constant state of zen, where I'm just in a freaking state of meditation and I'm listening to opera music or no music at all.
Amen.
When I can go there and then harness whatever I need to physiologically to replicate that without having to go there to the extreme dark place. That's kind of my goal with all my training now.
Right. Yeah. And I think that discipline, see what that is that's awareness and focus. And I was talking to my son just a minute ago. I was encouraging him because he was training. They're going to train legs tonight. And I was like, Liam, I don't want you to get caught up in the reps. I want every contraction, every rep, I want the contraction to be so meaningful. Every time you bring up that leg extension and you get to the top, I want you to flex like you're posing on stage. I want you to flex those quadriceps as if you're holding a pose where you're showing all the details of every part of your legs. And then I want you to hold it. I want you to hold it because you know what? If you're going to go down the bodybuilding path, you had better know how to flex and hold a pose for not a rep. What do we think? We're up there repping poses? They're static contractions. I mean, long static contractions, like 8-9 seconds. Maybe, if you're in the relaxed front pose, dude, 30 seconds, a minute.
When I did Worlds in 2023, there was 38 people in our class, and I was on stage for 57 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Did you stay in that composure of static contraction
the entire time?
Good job. I was disgusted when I was watching the Olympia just, this last week. When they were giving out the medals and everything. I mean, the Olympia was great, and Derek very deserving. Hottie, love Hottie. But when they were doing all the awards and everything, of course, I'm looking at it from a different lens, having from just done your show, and I'm like, why are these guys not in the front relaxed? I mean, they're like standing around, like scratching their balls. Like it's gross.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always taken the approach if I'm on stage, I'm being judged. Even if I'm not actively being judged on paper, it's like I want to present myself as a professional at all times.
Go back and look at the 90s. In all the Olympias, every single one of them stayed. Even Dory, I love it. Even at the final moment where they're about to be given the award, they're in that front relaxed pose, which is it looks to the world, like they're not posing, but that is how I believe bodybuilding needs to be. The integrity of bodybuilding needs to be maintained is by being able to pose. And I know, yeah, we are running long. I feel like we could talk for days. You should take me fishing. I'm a terrible fisherman. Do you know how to fish?
I do love fishing. Yeah.
Okay, my wife loves fishing. I have 2 sons that love fishing. I think we're gonna go see Uncle Bob. Do people call you Bob or Robert?
My dad's name is Robert. They call him Bob. So I've always just been
Robert
or Rob. Everybody calls me Rob for some reason. I've never introduced myself as Rob, but everybody calls me Rob. I
like Robert. I think it's a great name. It's a very powerful name. I also love Bob. And it's funny, Rob is like a totally different, it's like Rob that's like a different name to me. It's like, that's like Rob. That's not, that's different. But yeah, we want to come hang out with Uncle Robert and have you teach us to fish, because we could talk for a really long time. But yeah, I mean, guess, all this is crazy interesting, and I just want to preserve natural bodybuilding. I want to be behind you and your brand and all your people, because you have something special and you're doing something incredible, Robert. And, I lost my Bob. His name was Robert Coffeen. He died when he was 91. And I've been in thoughtful prayer that God would bring the right people into my path that would challenge me and help me to grow. And I had no idea that first bodybuilding show, when I saw Robert Sikes was going to be the promoter, I had no idea the capacity of a promoter and a person and trainer and baker and non-baker that you are, because man, I just have mad respect for you and your training and your philosophy, your mind, and I know God is going to continue to give you those epiphanies and those downloads.
Well, I appreciate it, brother. I mean, it's really cool for me to create something that grants people like yourself the opportunity to be inspired and a vehicle to showcase what's possible from an inspired individual is like one of the most fulfilling things that I've had the opportunity to do in life. So yeah, I will keep doing everything in my power to keep those realities coming, man. And you just keep fighting the good fight yourself, brother.
Okay, I will. And if you have any other topics like sex that you want to talk about, we could really get some clicks if we go down that rabbit hole.
We had a pretty broad array of topics today. We'll have to just do a round 2 follow-up podcast for sure.
Oh man, Kellogg's and Seventh-day Adventists. I'll go do my homework.
Do your homework, man. Do your homework.
Okay. All right. Well, until we meet again, man, I'll keep doing the bricks, and I'm going to be in a fat metabolism, so I may have some interesting information for you in a few months after Mr.
Skip the bananas.
It's like blasphemy. I legit feel bad when I put a banana with a keto brick. I'm like, Robert would not be happy about this.
Yeah, they don't go quite well together. But probably do from a standpoint. But
oh my gosh, they taste amazing. So that's
where do people gotta follow you, man? I want people to know where to go find you online.
Well, it's my handle. The handle is Natty and Nice 1. All one word, Natty and Nice 1. But Chris Chavanu, Chris, Chris. And then my last name, Chavanu. Just look me up on YouTube. And I usually put out like 3 or 4 shorts a day. And they're just thoughtful. It's just thoughtful content. It's just about what's going on for nutrition, training, philosophy, Mike Mentzer, Marcus Reinhardt, all things like that. And then latest, because I'm really interested in this metabolism, you'll see more stuff about your brand and Keto Brick, because and I'm not trying to sell it. I think it's actually a fantastic product. It's an incredible raw ingredient. So I'll be using it a lot in a lot of my food. So that's where they can check me out. And
Awesome.
stay tuned.
Appreciate it, brother. We'll definitely keep in touch. If there's everything I can do for you, Chris, you just let me know, brother.
Okay. Oh yeah, and we will. Okay. Last thing. Show September 26th.
I don't know the date. I'm still waiting on the venue, but yeah,
Okay.
I'm planning on, and I'll definitely have a show next year, and I would like to have it latter part of September again as well. So that's certainly the plan.
All right. I'm recruiting for you. We may have some new competitors coming from Nebraska.
Amen. I'm all about it, brother. We can tear the house. It's going to keep getting bigger and better every year.
That is nothing but the truth. All right.
100%. Appreciate you, Chris. Take care,
Okay.
brother.
All right. Peace.